All right, so I was looking for another tea to try out, and I found this one. So this is the last, I think, the last aged puer out of my last sample pack. And so yeah, so I figured I would brew it up. I've already kind of decided that the Hong is going to be the area that I go with, but this one smells good. It doesn't have much of an odor, as is the case with most aged wares. I'm sure that'll change once it gets wet. It's the cold brew, fairly brown. Again, typical of an aged puer. And see what we get here. All right. I'm curious if the cold brew smells like anything. Yeah, it's kind of sweet. Kind of, again, typical aged puer. Color, really pretty. And looks like there's quite a bit of activity in there. It's not like completely clean. It's kind of cloudy. Yeah, this one is a 2014. So we're talking 8 years. And almost 9 years, and it's still strong. And this is the cold brew. I mean, it is strong. Um, it's not. It's not necessarily bitter. It does have a little bit of bitterness, maybe in the aftertaste, but it's just a super strong, very green puer. And um, if 9 years has mellowed this thing out, I can't imagine what it was when it was first pressed. I mean, this is like gasoline almost. When I think of those very strong, very green puers, that's very new. The young ones. Some of them are like I consider like gasoline. They're just like just strong and very green, grassy flavor. And this one definitely has that. It's not as strong as the young ones. I imagine that's because of the age, but man, it is there. All right. So as always, gonna hit the cake. Oh, I didn't show you the cake, did I? Kind of pretty, actually. Look at that. Really, really compressed. But yeah, I gotta see if I can just open this thing up a little bit. Just gonna agitate it just a bit. See if I can get those leaves to open up. See what we get. So, a little smoky, but but typical, aged puer. Again, definitely on the strong side. I mean, that's just what it is. Very compact. As you can see, it's still like really solid. So it's going to take some time for this thing to open up. I imagine that means that it is going to the flavor and maybe even the smell is going to change as those leaves open up after who knows how many infusions it'll take. This thing is really, really tight, and I don't want to over brew it because this thing is so strong. But I do want to, try to open this thing up a little bit, and it's starting to open up some. Still pretty solid, but as you can see, the leaves are starting to green. Yeah, I'm starting to get green there, softening up a bit. And again, just really straightforward green pu'er. So not a super dark infusion. Happy about that. Bit of material in the cup. So it's a decent infusion. Not as strong as I thought, given that I steeped it for probably about 10 seconds. I'm tempted to go longer, but again, I know for a fact that based on the cold brew, this thing can be very easily overbrewed. But it's a decent tea. Not my favorite by far. I kind of knew that going in, I guess. It is interesting though, because this particular tea comes from close anyway to Da Hong. It's from Yong or Yong, which is in Lincang. And out of all the Lincangs that I tried, I was not happy with Lincang. It just didn't do it for me. Some of them were really interesting because they were kind of sour, But yeah, so again, not horrible, just not my favorite. What's up? Who's that? I found another sample. They're gone. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to. Oh, see, I knew it. So the aroma is starting to change a little bit. Starting to get a bit of sweetness. And the cake is breaking up too. But it's just such a strong green aroma and smoky that it hides that sweetness that is just right under the nose. There's definitely something there. And I really like that because it means that the tea has something. Let me see. It's still boiling. So let's see how much we can cool this off by. It means that the tea has something that can be found, And it's all about steeping time and temperature. And so finding the right balance will usually yield some different results outside of just, straight up green tea. And that's another thing that I think is always something of a conversation is whether or not pu'ers are green teas. And I'm definitely in the camp that pu'ers are green teas. I just think they're processed green teas. Wherein, a green tea is sort of, I mean, it is processed in that, you know, it's rolled and dried and this sort of thing. But I think pu'ers are just more processed, you know, especially when you talk about the pressing and all these different things, the roasting, right? And so some are going to be more green than others, of course. This one, very green, very green. You can see all the little broken pieces at the bottom. And remember, this was a solid cake. So, so a little cooler water. I'm going to let this brew just a little bit more, even though I am afraid of over brewing. Let's see. I think that's good enough. How long has that been? 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Coming up on a minute, maybe. Something like that. Wow. I'll tell you, based on that cold brew, you really think that this is going to be like a really strong infusion, but based on the color of the liquor, it is not. And I'm starting to get some sweetness, um, like a melon, very similar to cantaloupe. Look at this color. So I'm gonna definitely brew this much longer on the next infusion because it can definitely take it, and it's cool water. You know, it's 130 Fahrenheit. Again, you know, opaque, so not like super clean or anything. A little bit of material at the bottom, but not too much. Wow. So yeah, so water temperature is everything, and that's typical of any puer. Anytime, I mean, anyway, uh, they usually go with lower temperatures. Um, but yeah, so I got a little bit of sweetness on this one. Still very green grassy flavor though. Still strong, you know, for sure. No bitterness, and the bitterness is in the cold brew. So what that tells me is that the longer steep times will bring out more of the bitterness, and not necessarily what's going on, Mike, and not necessarily temperature, right? So um, that means that I can probably brew this hotter than I would brew a typical aged puer, but definitely want to be careful about the time. Yeah, I like it. I do. It's decent. Again, it's not my favorite at all, especially not the cold brew. But the hot brew is not bad. Got some sweetness in there. Still kind of smoky. Again, strong grassy flavor, which is not horrible. All right, so I'm gonna do this again, and this time I'm going to steep it for even longer and see just how strong I can get this thing. And look at this. See, this is why I say that pu'ers are really green teas. You know, I mean, that is a green leaf. There's just no question about it. You know, it's just been through, you know, different processing than, you know, a typical green tea, but it's definitely green. And I thought it was going to take much longer for this cake to open up, and it's really starting to open up now. I'm going to actually agitate the water a little bit just to see if I can get just, I want to get as much as I can out of this thing. Um, at this point, you know, I'm not so worried about over brewing it, but like I said, I know it's possible based on that cold brew. But let's just see what we get. Mike, I think you told me a while back that you had some tea bushes growing. I really want to see the update on those and whether or not you've tried to brew any of it up. I definitely want to try to grow some myself. Um, I don't know exactly where I'm going to find the tea plants to do that, but it is something that I am interested in. And the game plan is if and when I do grow some tea bushes, the game plan is to play around with different processing just to see which way tastes best. You know, first try white, then try green, then try fermenting. You know, um, try maybe roasting, and I think I know there's charcoal roasted. I've heard of people using fruits to roast. My thinking is to use the limbs from the tea bush itself to roast. But yeah, just looking forward to experimenting to see what I come up with. All right, that's got to be. I mean, I don't know how long it is, but that's got to be a long time. And my goodness, this liquor is still so. Yeah, this is strange to me. I was not expecting this. The cold brew is tastes like it's almost like overbrewed. You know what I mean? But I mean, I'm gonna say that it is almost impossible to overbrew this tea. Look at this color. Look at this. And even though it again, it's very compressed and everything, right? But it's broken up pretty good. And yeah, I mean, I can pull it apart with my finger, at least most of it. Um, so yeah, I'm interested to see what happens as I drink through this. If anything changes, I don't think it will, but it is interesting. Maybe I'll go back and hit it with like boiling water again, and just see what happens. Well, there you go. Spoke too soon. So again, look at the color. It's not dark at all. But man, gasoline. Again, not like it's not super overpowering. Um, yeah, now the pu'er. I think that's a little different, just because with that there's a lot of rolling, and then you know they have loose leaf pu'ers for sure. I think they call them malchaws, right? Black tea, from my understanding, is literally just set it somewhere and let it ferment, right? Definitely check the moisture and whatnot. Um, but my understanding is pu'er is a bit more involved. So I'm a little afraid of that. But again, yeah, definitely looking forward to experimenting. Um, yeah, not a fan of this one, and I think honestly, it's all of the Lincang are I'm just not a fan of. They're um, very strong. Some of them are sour and just like punches you in your face. Again, I cannot imagine what this thing was like day one. Cannot imagine. Um, and to be very honest with you, this is one of those times that I'm drinking a tea that I'm not necessarily looking forward to finishing. You know, like usually I taste the tea. Sometimes it's okay, um, but I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy drinking through this. This one, it's just it's sort of boring, and then like I said, if you steep it too long, it just becomes again not bitter, but just really strong, just real green grass gasoline strong. But I'm not gonna throw it away either. So what I'll do is I'll just continue using cooler temps, and then just not steeping it for very long, and it'll be lightly flavored water basically, because I'm not gonna throw it away. So anyway, that's it. Let's take a look at that. See, still compact, but it's opening up. So, yep. But I have the teas from the home coming in. I think there's maybe 6 or 7. So I'm gonna drink through those, and then find my favorite, and then I'll have to question whether or not I'm gonna buy a tong or if I'm just gonna buy one cake. So we'll see.